agenda's already set, and AI is the future. But it's not the future you think. The game is being played with Musk, Trump, and the global elites. They convinced you that authority equals truth, that those in power have your best interests at heart. But look around. Wars don't end. The rich get richer, the truth gets buried, and every time you start asking the right questions, they label you crazy. Real power doesn't need to silence people. Lies do. You see the farmers protesting across Europe. They tell you it's about climate regulations, nitrogen targets, green policy. This is the cover story for the real operation, the deliberate dismantling of food independence. Seize the farms, break the independent producers, replace them with corporate, lab-grown sustenance you can only buy with their digital currency. They are not saving the planet. They are weaponizing your plate. He who controls the food supply controls the people.
Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel here. It's me here, Comrade Lavender here, and today I'm back with another anti-capitalism deep dive true crime YouTube video topic. Today I'm going to be doing the topic of pure evil, the Bill Gates files, deep dive, everything wrong with capitalism, true crime, billionaire philanthropy, water privatization, Jeffrey Epstein files, COVID-19 vaccines, the overpopulation myth, etc. So let's get started in this YouTube video topic. But before I get started, all my YouTube video topics that are related to this topic are going to be on the screen right now. My other, YouTube video topics that I've done on other topics that are related to this topic right now are going to be on the screen right now if you'd like to check them out after you watch this video. So let's get started in this YouTube video topic.
Bill Gates is very interested in your water. While everyone's distracted with indictments and celebrity BS, Bill Gates, BlackRock, and Nestle just quietly teamed up. Yes, Nestle. Same company whose chairman literally said water isn't a human right. And now they're making moves to own it. This isn't speculation, it's already happening. Gates is buying up farmland that sits on major aquifers. BlackRock is pouring billions into water infrastructure. And Nestle? Still extracting millions of gallons while local communities run dry. They're not just buying land, they're buying access to rivers, lakes, groundwater. They're investing in the tech to monitor, track, and reroute where water flows and who gets it. This isn't about conservation. This is about control. Food already controls people, but water controls everything.
That was made?
No, it's just simply hogwash.
Okay, which aspect is hogwash?
The idea that Microsoft didn't pay its taxes.
It's not that Microsoft didn't pay taxes, it's that they could have paid more taxes.
Voluntarily?
Bill Gates owns more land than all of the entire city of New York. Jeff Bezos' land is double the amount, clocking in at 420,000 acres. John Malone, the largest private landowner in America, owns 2.2 million acres all by himself, a landmass slightly smaller than the island of Puerto Rico. America is enormous, yet 100 of the richest and largest private landowners in America own 1.86% of all the land available in the United States.
If you ever had a question of where these potatoes came from to make those worldwide enjoyed McDonald's fries, well, Bill Gates owns 275,000 acres of farmland solely for growing potatoes for McDonald's fries. Additionally, Gates holds a prestigious McDonald's gold card, allowing him access to these very fries.
Billionaire Bill Gates has a McDonald's gold card that gives him free food for life worldwide. The gold card was revealed by Gates' lifelong pal, Warren Buffett, in 2007. But unlike Gates, who can eat free anywhere, Buffett is only able to use his card in his hometown in Nebraska. The exact number of cardholders and how you can get one has remained a safeguarded secret by the fast food giant.
Developing now, more news tying Jeffrey Epstein to another billionaire, this time Bill Gates, and the topic, blackmail.
Epstein reportedly threatened to expose an affair between Gates and a Russian bridge player. Investigative reporter Terry Parker has the latest. And Terry, how did this latest story come to light?
The Wall Street Journal has just reported this development based on unnamed sources, saying Jeffrey Epstein was trying to force Bill Gates into supporting a charitable foundation that would have paid Epstein millions in fees.
Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates is one of the richest people in the world and reportedly met multiple times with sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein, eventually being targeted by Epstein in a blackmail scheme.
Everything Bill Gates does is evil and self-rewarding and self-serving. He's a complete narcissist. Make no mistake. Yet MSM makes him out to be this incredible and compassionate person who contributes so much of his time and money to humanity. Nothing could be further from the truth. He's just your normal, typical greedy capitalist pig, billionaire. Bill Gates has a long history of ruthless capitalist business practices. He has no quorums with destroying small businesses and exploits everything he can. His common tactic when he wants to acquire an entire entity that resists is to buy its suppliers and biggest customers, then starve it into bankruptcy. He masquerades as a philanthropist when philanthropy is a scam. The capitalist pigs often claim their philanthropy is meant to change the world, but it is really meant to keep it the way it exactly is. He wields his checkbook as a weapon. He buys control. The man is fucking evil. He is a parasite, sucking the life out of the world just like every other capitalist does. He's good for nothing. Bill Gates pushing the overpopulation myth. A select group of billionaires met in semi-secrecy in May 2009 to find answers to a nightmarish concern. Their worst nightmare wasn't the imminent danger of runaway climate change, the ballooning levels of hunger worldwide, or the spread of weapons of mass destruction. The nightmare was other people, lots of other people. The self-styled good group of capitalist pigs included Microsoft founder Bill Gates, media mogul Ted Turner, David Rockefeller Jr., and billionaire financiers such as George Soros, the billionaire, and Warren Buffett, the billionaire. The London Sunday Times said they discussed a plan to tackle overpopulation, something they considered a potentially disastrous environmental, social, industrial threat. Yet it was far from the first time the born to rule has sought to make rules about who could be born. The brutal fact is that a policy of controlling the global population means controlling the poverty-stricken, whether the policy be concerned with fertility or migration. More than 90% of projected population growth in the 21st century will occur in the global south. Economic fluctuations, threats to our living standards, and environmental damage are products of capitalism, products of a psychopathic system of mindless production for profit, and a system that puts profits over lives on a daily basis, and the victims of capitalism every day suffer immensely, which has been incapable of meeting the needs of the world's population at any given time in its history, regardless of the number of people living on the planet. Another problem is those who bleat about overpopulation under the banner of concern for the environment or worry about poverty and food shortages are actually blaming ordinary people living in developing countries, migrants, or refugees for snarky, visible crises that our world faces. This displaced blame gives cover to governments and the ruling class across the globe who orchestrate debates about population growth in order to pretend that they're taking economic and environmental crisis, which they play a central role in creating, seriously, while doing nothing to address the real economic and environmental threats facing the world today. Bill Gates quietly seizes total control of the United States water supply, vast aquifers, ancient water tables, untapped reservoirs, how under the control of one man and one agenda. If you thought food shortages were the end game, you underestimated their evil. Bill Gates is quietly joining forces with the biggest investor company in the world, BlackRock, and his longtime ally, Peter Brodbeck Lethemane, the former Nestle CEO, who once said that water is not a human right and how water should be privatized. Together, they're executing a strategic takeover of America's most critical resource, the water supply. Because Bill Gates isn't just a tech mogul, he's a natural-born monopolist. Every empire he's built has followed the same pattern. dominate the market, eliminate the competition, then reshape the system in his image. He's been accused of antitrust violations more times than most billionaires have business cards. And how Bill Gates is more cunning, more calculated. The media and jury has been bought off. He's applying that same monopolist playbook to one resource none of us can survive without: water. By cornering the market, Bill Gates and his capless pig allies and colleagues are positioning themselves as the gatekeepers of survival. This isn't just about profit, it's about control, at the most fundamental level. When you control the food, you control the people, but when you control the water, you control life itself. They're quietly acquiring aquifers, reservoirs, and key infrastructure. The global elite always telegraph their intentions. It's not just arrogance, it's a ritual. Part of the belief system demands that they reveal their plans in plain sight, hidden behind symbolism, fiction, so-called entertainment. At the same time, they use the media as a weapon, not to just distract, but to condition, to slowly train the public mind. So when a shocking event unfolds, the narrative is already written and villains are conveniently pre-selected. We're talking about population control in its purest form. No water. Bill Gates and potatoes. Billionaire owns Washington land that grows spuds for McDonald's. Bill Gates is the largest private farmland owner in the United States, owning 275,000 acres. Bill and Melinda Gates' ownership of hundreds of thousands of American farmland has drawn media attention of late. That includes 14,000 acres of Washington that grows potatoes for McDonald's fries. Fact-checkers swooped in after social media memes claim Bill Gates owns a farm that produces genetically modified organic GMO potatoes for McDonald's started gaining traction. Snopes said statements made by other memes claiming that Gates supplies McDonald's with all of its french fries that are grown at a genetically modified potato farm were untrue. None of the memes or fact-checkers address Gates' growing investments in U.S. farmland or the use of pesticides on non-organic potatoes, and none questioned why someone who promotes himself as a concerned about global health, largely through global vaccine campaigns, would supply ingredients for a product known to contribute to cardiovascular diseases and conditions in weight gain and obesity. Bill Gates set up 20 shell companies to hide purchase of $113 million of Nebraska farmland. A glance of federal records shows that a series of Nebraska farms listed foreign-owned, though there's no country attached, no hint that these farms' unassuming names might be related. Willowdale Farms, McCure County Farms, Dove Haven Ranch, Champion Valley Farm, Charter Family Farms, and many more are concentrated in the northeast of Nebraska but spread to the southeast corner and west nearly to Wyoming. In Nebraska's business records, they have one similarity. Each farm's office address leads to a single-story brick building in the St. Louis suburbs, an office park housing a dentist, lawyers, and until recently a farmland investment startup called AgCoA. For years, AgCoA was owned by the Canadian Pension Plan Investment Board, a government-owned group managing the retirement funds of 21 million Canadians. But in 2017, the Canadian board decided to offload $500 million chunk of its American farmland portfolio, including all 22,830 acres of its Nebraska land. The buyer of those unassuming surrounding Nebraska farms wasn't publicly listed until now. The financial details of the transaction and the loan he's taken out against it have remained publicly unknown, but the buyer's name, Bill Gates. The billionaire who co-founded Microsoft in the past 6 years has spent more than $113 million buying Nebraska farmland. Gates farmland is held by more than 20 shell companies spread across the country. Some lead back to a P.O. box in Kirkland, Washington, the city where Cascade Asset Management, which manages all of Bill Gates' investments, is headquartered in. Others are linked to Linxa, Kansas, and Monterey, Louisiana, population 371, where reporters have previously traced Bill Gates' operations. Because it's hidden, Nebraskans living and farming in communities where Bill Gates is among the largest landowners are often unaware that one of the world's richest men owns the cornfield down the road. Bill Gates now owns around 20,000 acres of farmland across 19 counties in Nebraska. After selling land in recent years, he owns the largest chunk of land, about 8,500 acres in Holt County. Bill Gates' investments in evil companies that support large-scale farming like Monsanto and the tractor manufacturer John Deere. You probably heard of the giant biotech company Monsanto's in relation to genetically modified food, seeds, lawsuits, and poisonous products. Most likely what you've heard is not positive, and that is because this company has been causing harm to friends, family, and the earth herself. Just to give you a little backstory and history of the background of this company and their moral compass, they are the producers of Agent Orange. This was the toxic substance that was sprayed from planes by the U.S. military during the wars that took place in the 1960s to 1971. The substance unalived over 400,000 people and created hundreds of thousands of birth defects, eventually affecting more than 3 million people. They have destroyed the farming industry, with over 250,000 farmers committing suicide in India, as well as farmers in the United States being pushed out of their livelihoods or forced to grow only genetically modified crops, which Monsanto owns the patent. It is also against the law to save any of the former year's seeds and use them. In 1996, Monsanto created the monster by selling crops that were genetically modified, GMOs, so they would be able to tolerate highly toxic glyphosate, which is the main ingredient in Roundup, which causes cancer. They called these Roundup-ready crops usually consisted of corn, soybeans, and cotton. It allowed farmers to spray their crops with these harmful chemicals, which killed those weeds around them and kept the crops alive. These chemicals also cause damage to the soil and pollute heavily the local water supply, poisoning local communities and surrounding communities across the globe. Most recently, in 2020, Monsanto's parent company, Bayer, the giant German chemical and pharmaceutical company, was found guilty and ordered to pay $10 billion in damages for lawsuits alleging that Monsanto's products made people sick. What is also disturbing is influential figures in the country like Bill Gates own as much as $23 million in stock of Monsanto. How can someone claim they want the best for this country and its people, then profit from the poisoning of its own citizens? Also, John Deere's long-standing policies limiting the ability of farmers and independent technicians to repair Deere equipment, hindering their ability to turn a profit on their farms. Bill Gates is generally optimistic about potential of AI, artificial intelligence, and supports it. Bill Gates is just another fascist wanting to run the world and control everybody. AI is bad, period, point blank. Bill Gates controversially delved into the potential of artificial intelligence, AI, as a tool of maintaining democracy and promoting world peace. In the age of surveillance, that means monitoring how and where Snopes put us under scrutiny. The cops are watching you, the police are watching you, the FBI is watching you, the CIA is watching you. Residents and visitors of the nation's capital are scrutinized by automatic license plate readers, facial recognition scanning by the FBI of driver's license photos, a registry of private scrutiny cameras, gunshot detection microphones. Yes, they can overhear conversations. Cell site simulators which pinpoint the locations of phones and their users and more. Atlanta's list of the surveillance tools used in the city and links to more information on them, including extensive write-ups on the street-level surveillance hub. In a new interview, Bill Gates has apologized for his ties with billionaire pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, the sex trafficker, even as Bill Gates downplayed the relationship. That's self-serving nonsense. Their friendship was a grotesque demonstration and display of what happens when you give a small group of people unfathomable wealth and power. The years-long connection Bill Gates cultivated with Epstein and vice versa can hardly be described as a monetary oopsie. They both were two of the richest people on earth, meaning that after Jeffrey Epstein had already been convicted for child sex trafficking, very intentionally scratching each other's backs and bolstering each other's charitable endeavors, the relationship between them and what compelled both to build one should be seen not as a lapse in judgment, but as an indictment of billionaire philanthropy itself. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is the world's leading private charity, focusing largely on global health. Its $100 billion endowment exceeds the GDP of dozens of countries where it works. Bill Gates met with Jeffrey Epstein, and flew in his notorious Lolita private jet. Jeffrey Epstein's contacts promised to further fortify Bill Gates' power, expanding his glory as a figurehead dedicated to ameliorating global suffering. And of course, Jeffrey Epstein met with Bill Gates, successfully courting a multi-million-dollar donation to a little philanthropy reputation laundering of his own. Jeffrey Epstein got away with horrifically abusing young women for so many years because of his wealth, which made him useful enough for everyone around him, including Bill Gates and other, figures, to eagerly look the other way. How Bill Gates and other private interests use legal loopholes to corrupt the FDA. While the U.S. Drug Administration, the FDA itself, does not accept corporate money, it does, however, receive money funneled via a nonprofit foundation, which receives money from other nonprofits funded by private interests. The agency itself certainly tries to present itself as an independent from the industries that it regulates, but in all reality, legal loopholes have led the FDA receiving money and being captured and corrupted by private interests. It is really all a facade because the end result is all the same. Those donating the money ultimately end up with the ability to pull the puppet strings when needed. Not surprisingly, the Reagan-Udall Foundation has received large donations from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which we now know rarely does anything that doesn't benefit Gates' personal bottom line and overall agenda that he's pushing. Bill Gates has used his philanthropy to shape public policy in ways that benefit his own agenda. A March 17, 2020 article on The Nation titled Bill Gates Charity Products even points out that Gates' own foundation has given $2 billion in tax-deductible charitable donations to private companies, including GlaxoSmithKline, Unilever, IBM, Vodafone, and MasterCard affiliate MasterCard Labs for financial inclusion, Scholastic Inc., and NBC Universal Media. Many of those so-called donations just end up benefiting the Gates Foundation. It also invests in the same companies and industries it donates money to. This circular economy is why Bill Gates just keeps on getting richer, and the more money he gives away. If donating to for-profit companies sounds oddly illegal to you, you'd be right. Bill Gates is a tax evader for doing so. He's simply getting away with it. The nonprofit foundation is a disguise to avoid taxes while funding the research arms for for-profit organizations his foundation is invested with, which is illegal. The global battle over drug company patents for COVID-19 vaccines is the latest skirmish in the irrepressible conflict between property rights and human rights. It's no surprise that Bill Gates, the monopolist billionaire, has taken the side of the patents. Drug companies, after all, would stand to lose billions of dollars if their formula were shared and the supply increased, which is the main reason they're currently resisting efforts to amend the world's strict intellectual property regime so the vaccine production and distribution can expand. Notwithstanding this greed, COVID-19 has been on the unprecedented PR coup for pharmaceutical giants, whose apologists have issued a predictable smokescreen of self-interested bad arguments to justify patent hoarding. Billionaire Bill Gates, who last weekend used an appearance on Britain's Sky News to explain the various recipes for vaccines currently held by drug companies, should not, in fact, be shared so that production and distribution can increase. Asked directly by Sky Sophie Ridge if he thought changing the patent restrictions would be helpful, Bill Gates answered with a quick and curt no. As already quite clear, it's a recipe for vaccine apartheid and preventable death, one that will ensure people in richer countries get vaccinated more quickly, and supply remains far short of what it otherwise could be. Humanity may be at war with a deadly virus, but one of the chief antagonists in the conflict is the profit mechanism at the heart of global capitalism itself. If that mechanism ultimately triumphs over humanitarian common sense, the pandemic will last longer, countless people will suffer needlessly, and we'll have monopolist ideologues like Bill Gates to thank.